The Harlan mansion stood on a windswept cliff. It loomed large, imposing, with a stone facade that was weathered by years of sea air. Gargoyles perched on the roof, like silent sentinels. The windows were dark eyes, seeming to watch over the sprawling grounds below. Amelia Harlan shivered as she clutched her coat tighter. The salty air was cold, biting at her skin. The drive from the city had been long and tiring, but the sight of her ancestral home filled her with a sense of foreboding she couldn't ignore. The house had always felt heavy, burdened by history. Generations of Harlans had walked these halls, leaving their mark. The air inside was thick, smelling of dust and memories, the scent of time itself. As Amelia stepped into the grand foyer, she felt a chill. It wasn't from the draft, it was something more profound. It was the unsettling feeling of being watched. A sense of unease settled upon her, as though the house itself was holding its breath, waiting. Amelia had been away for years, building a life in the city, a life of independence and anonymity. But the news of her grandmother's failing health had drawn her back. It was a summons she couldn't ignore. Eleanor Harlan was more than just her grandmother. She was the family matriarch, the keeper of their history and their secrets. The old woman's room was on the second floor, overlooking the gardens. The gardens were once vibrant, now overgrown and neglected, much like the house itself. Amelia sat by her grandmother's bedside, watching the rise and fall of her frail chest. Memories flickered through Amelia's mind, images of a time when the house was filled with laughter, and her grandmother had regaled her with stories of the Harlan family and their exploits. Eleanor had always hinted at a hidden legacy, a legacy that only the women of the family knew. "Amelia," a voice rasped. Eleanor's eyes flickered open, still sharp, still holding a spark of their old fire. "You've returned." "Grandmother?" Amelia said, her voice choked with emotion. "I'm here." Eleanor's gaze drifted towards the old mahogany desk in the corner, the desk that had always been off-limits to Amelia. "The pendant?" she whispered, her voice a mere thread. "It's gone missing. You must find it, Amelia, before it's too late." The sapphire pendant. Amelia knew it well. It was a stunning piece, a large cabochon-cut sapphire surrounded by diamonds, hanging from a delicate silver chain. It had been in the Harlan family for generations. More than just a piece of jewelry, it was a symbol representing the strength and resilience of the Harlan women. Its disappearance sent a ripple of anxiety through the household. The staff, some of whom had been with the family for decades, whispered among themselves, their faces etched with concern. The pendant was kept locked in Eleanor's safe, hidden within her desk. Only Eleanor and her longtime maid, Mrs. Willowbrook, knew the combination. Suspicion fell upon the small group gathered at the mansion. There was Charles, Amelia's uncle, embittered by his meager inheritance. His wife, Beatrice, known for her expensive tastes and sharp tongue. And Edward, Amelia's cousin, a charming but feckless young man with a penchant for gambling debts. Amelia observed them all, watching their interactions, listening to their conversations, searching for any sign, any clue that might lead her to the pendant. She knew that finding it was about more than just recovering a family heirloom. It was about unraveling a mystery, about protecting her family's legacy. Section 4, Whispers and Suspicions, the Household Under Scrutiny. The atmosphere in the mansion was thick with suspicion. It hung in the air like the scent of wood smoke. Amelia could feel the tension. It crackled between the occupants of the house. Each one of them had a motive. They all had secrets. They all had something to hide. Charles, bitter and resentful, lurking in the shadows. His eyes followed Amelia. They watched her every move. Beatrice, draped in jewels, her laughter a little too loud, a little too brittle. Edward, charming and evasive, his smiles failing to mask a growing desperation. Even Mrs. Willowbrook, the loyal maid, seemed ill at ease. Her hands trembled as she served tea. Her eyes darted nervously around the room. Amelia sensed that the old woman knew more than she was letting on. But Mrs. Willowbrook, her lips pressed tightly together, refused to speak. Amelia, determined to uncover the truth, decided to take matters into her own hands. She knew that the answers, if they were to be found, lay within the walls of the mansion. They lay hidden among the echoes of the past. And she knew just where to start her search, her grandmother's study. Section 5. A Midnight Discovery. the study's secrets unveiled. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed midnight. Its sound echoed through the silent house. Amelia waited until she was certain everyone was asleep. Then, with a pounding heart, she crept down the hallway. She stood before the heavy oak door of her grandmother's study. She had always been forbidden from entering this room. She had only ever glimpsed it from the doorway. Now, with the door ajar, she could see the heavy velvet curtains. She could see the shelves lined with leather-bound books. She could see the imposing mahogany desk that seemed to dominate the room. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and pipe tobacco. A single lamp cast long shadows that danced across the walls. Amelia's hand trembled as she reached for the desk drawer. It was unlocked. Inside, she found a stack of old journals. They were bound in worn leather. As she leafed through the brittle pages, a name caught her eye. It was written in elegant script. It was the name of her great-grandmother, another Eleanor Harland. And as Amelia read, she began to uncover a story of love, betrayal, and a hidden legacy that had been passed down through generations.